That would have been a pain in the ass. Where have I put my beer?
Oh, that's a convenient angle.
You know you're getting old when this angle stretch. It's just a bit too much.
I notice it just when I'm standing up or sitting down, just like the groans that come out.
So what do you mean you're standing up, you're sitting down, you notice your aches and pains. So the only time you actually feel comfortable is when you're lying down.
Basically.
That's it.
So, we're at your house.
We're back.
Again, you don't have COVID anymore.
Post-COVID, yes, got through it. Got the old negative test, did my isolation period.
And you still managed to watch rugby.
We couldn't do much
You didn't
else.
get to go to the game though.
No, I didn't. Well, technically I could have. The rules would have allowed me to go.
Because that was your last day.
It was my last day, but I was going for a friend's surprise birthday, and his father, like his wife set it all up, and his father is immunocompromised.
So you figured...
I would have made him uncomfortable.
Right.
So it would have been fine, but I didn't want to make anyone uncomfortable. So
right.
I sat at home and I watched it with the Morgans.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I was live streaming with my folks.
Oh.
Yeah.
What a treat. Yeah, they're always entertaining.
Yeah. Gazza likes his rugby.
Yeah. Your mum doesn't get enough credit. She doesn't. She does pretty well out there as well.
She puts the old cutting remark in, especially when he's getting a bit carried away.
You look more like your mother than you do your father.
I think that's a compliment rather than an insult. Yeah.
Your father's a very handsome man. For I don't know. What is he? He's gone 70, hasn't he?
He's 70. What is he? 72.
I wonder what Gazza was like with the ladies back in the day. Have you heard some stories?
He tried to tell me some stories, but I kind of cut him off because I was like, "This is probably stuff I don't need to hear."
Gazza, if you ever want to tell anyone your great achievements back in the day, I'm all ears.
Tony's all ears.
I'd love to hear it.
Tony wants to know.
100%.
But you watched New Zealand and Australia. You didn't go to the game. You watched it. 40 points to 14.
Yeah, it was a funny old game. Well, no, it was a great game in a lot of ways in terms from a Kiwi perspective to see an 80-minute performance for the most part.
There was no huge drama talking point at the end of the game like the last one.
No, exactly. We comprehensively won, although Sammy Whitelock with his go-go gadget
It still had its dodgy moments, but even without them, the All Blacks are winning that game.
Yeah, 100%. They're definitely the better team. But the thing that, I think we've already spoken about it before we got on air was... It was just really disappointing to see the team that turned up from the Wallabies.
Yes.
When they had it all to play for, they had, that heartbreaking loss. You thought they would have really come in with the bit between their teeth. And they kept on talking, James Slipper kept on talking all week saying, when people said, "Do you think you're going to win here?" And he kept on saying, "I just know we're going to put on a really good performance."
And then, no.
They didn't.
We kind of talked about it could go either way. They could come out just so fired up, keen for revenge, or maybe they were just so spent from that last one and it turned out to be that latter one, which is disappointing.
I don't know, just 2 minutes in, a guy could have got a red card.
Yeah, exactly.
That was pretty touch and go. Pretty lucky not to get a red in that situation. It would have been a 20-minute red. So.
That's right, that's true. But yeah, there was no big refereeing decisions that kind of ruined the game.
I think that game at least flowed a lot better than the game that we saw afterwards.
Yeah.
But before we,
get to that one,
you want to talk for Geordie Barrett.
Geordie Barrett at 12 was one of my notes because there was question marks about that. He's on the record as wanting to play 12 for donkey's years.
Yeah.
Back when, I think I mentioned last time, back when Laumape was at the Canes, he was on the record saying, "I'd love to play 12.
Yeah.
He played 12 there in his earlier years.
Yeah.
But with Laumape there, he was never going to get any game time at 12. No. And it seems like very reluctantly, it took God knows how many injuries to get him the shot, but he gets a shot at 12, and he looked pretty good.
World class.
Only one game, but...
Yeah, but it throws a real cat amongst the pigeons for Havili, Tupaia, and RTS as
That's
well.
right.
But before we sort of focus on that, just what an option he is. That kicking option as well that he's got there. He's big and he's physical.
Genuinely a big human. You see him
100%.
standing next to his brothers, and
he's the biggest one.
Yeah.
Dog Roll's probably got more of an ass on him. But
height-wise, he's a big guy.
He's a big dude, and he played bloody well. Played by far and away his best game of the year.
Yeah.
Playing in the position that he's been desperate to play in.
That's right. He's been okay at 15. He's not really been. There were a few seasons ago, he was one of the focus guys where it's what mistake is Geordie going to play this week? He'd moved away from that at 15. Pretty consistent.
Yeah.
No horrendous mistakes, but then he goes into 12 and just takes it up a notch.
We talked about it on the podcast. We said he's been solid, but he hasn't done anything exceptional. When we were trying to bag on everyone, we were going through that losing period. Yeah. Maybe he's just put his hand up big time to say, "Hey, Fozzie, Man,
He's certainly earned himself.
Dumb luck for Fozzie though. Dumb luck for Fozzie. Like, he had to have 2 injuries and
8 LB out and Goodhue out. like more injuries than just like the couple that we got the week before.
Yeah.
It's a long injury list that gets him his shot.
Yeah. Like, and he wouldn't have got it otherwise. Even though he's been jumping up and down for it. Similar to what Will Jordan's jumping up and down to go for 15.
15, yeah.
Which is slightly more open now. I know they're putting Bodie back there at 15. But, yeah, it's an interesting... I think he worked nicely with Akira. Akira's still struggling with that passing the ball to the wing, which he's been struggling with his entire career.
You're talking about Rico?
Yeah. Did I say Akira?
You said Akira.
One of the
They're brothers.
Yeah, no. I don't see Akira passing the ball that much either.
Ball hog.
Yeah, ball hogs. Yeah, but no. And the other thing, like, obviously he's amazing, but the interesting thing for me is, like, I'm a huge Roger Tuivasa-Sheck fan,
right?
Because I love league, I love it, and he was an absolute phenom in that game.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm really excited about him coming across the Union.
Yeah.
And he just hasn't been given a shot. He got given another 11 minutes.
Yeah. I think I said it on the stream. He's going to get like about 10 minutes.
You said less than 10 minutes.
I said single digits, and he got like 11.
Mm.
Maybe because Geordie was just going so well, Fozzie was like, I want more.
Yeah, and they still wanted points because they wanted to put it...
as many as they could on.
Get as much chance as
they for the Rugby Championship.
And he's got that... He's one of the only guys who can get a kick around between that 45 to 55 mark out there as well. So he's really worth his weight in gold, isn't he?
That's right.
You know, Geordie's always going to be in the 23, if not starting.
Where does Roger sit now? Because, I mean...
I think...
If everyone else is back fit, is he in the All Blacks? If we got ALB, if we got Goodhue, if we got Havili, if we got Tupaia...
Yeah.
Is Roger getting a shot if he's a specialist 12, or is he a utility? Because
I want to see him get a shot. I want us to see what he can do.
How many games have we got left? We've got the Northern Tour.
He'll probably get a game against Japan. That might be it, if they even take him on the Northern Tour. But the rumour mill is saying that he's got an offer on the table back with the old Sydney City Roosters.
Is that right?
So, saying, you know, hey, you had a shot that you wanted to be an All Black.
Right.
You're fifth on the pecking order in terms of getting your starting lineup, which is what you want. What do you want to do? Do you want to be a superstar in the NRL, or do you want to be
the fifth choice guy for the All Blacks?
Yeah, you know, and get paid well over $1 million. You know, so I don't know. It'd be interesting. Hopefully he sticks around for a little bit longer.
It's a tough one for him as well, because right when he made the switch, the plan was he's going to play for Auckland in the NPC to kind of get up to speed. Then he'll have a Super Rugby season, but then COVID meant the Auckland campaign was quashed because Auckland was in lockdown, so he didn't get his NPC campaign. He has to go straight into Super Rugby. So he's just been one step behind when he needed everything to kind of go. Yeah. Because with the timeline he gave himself, realistically, he's not given himself that much chance to go from how many years away from Union to being an All Black.
Everything needed to go like clockwork for him. And the first thing that was meant to go right
went
wrong. And like, he played really well for the Blues. He hasn't done anything wrong for the All Blacks.
That's right.
I don't know what's happening on the training field. He may have not impressed out there. I do notice when he's at the breakdown, you know, like most players, whether they're backs or forwards, just know exactly what to do. They're into the breakdown. Yeah. They're over the ball immediately. They're protecting it. He has does the right thing, but he has like just a half a moment of, what am I doing here again?
There's a few guys who've converted who've mentioned, I think Sonny Bill mentioned the breakdown, and Sam Burgess when he
had no idea.
He was just like all at sea.
Yeah.
It's always the tricky one when making the switch to Union A. Yeah. So, but Geordie was phenomenal. RTS's spot is
up for grabs.
Well,
not up for grabs, but
did Papali'i do enough to put the doubt with Kane? Probably not. I mean, I thought he made like 19 from 19 tackles. He's the All Blacks top tackler of the game. I think top tackler of that match.
I think he was given a role when he did it well.
Yeah.
Kind of similar to what Sam Kane usually does,
right.
I guess. You know, not
the sexy stuff.
Not the sexy stuff, but getting in there and doing the grinding. Like, the grinding. Getting in there on grinder. Apologies. But he didn't. But like when you saw him in Super Rugby, he did do some sexy stuff.
Yeah.
You know, he was actually pretty good with ball in hand and all that sort of thing. But like, who is our out and out jackal right now? Who's our guy at the breakdown? Like, where what Richie McCaw and Josh Cronfeld used to do before Richie as well. Like, who's the guy getting that turnover in the big moments for us?
We've got a few guys who get.
Sonny Takiaho.
Takiaho gets some. Savia gets some. Kane gets the odd one.
Whitelock gets the odd one.
Yeah. Actually, I think Whitelock statistically is our top guy.
Yeah, so it's not the 7. so much.
No, not necessarily. But traditionally, that's the role. But I mean, I guess a lot of teams
moving away from it.
Multiple guys who can do it, not necessarily the 7. So.
But okay, so let's just look at the All Blacks as total. Like, I have been hard on them.
Right.
Very, very hard. You know, there's a tattoo on the line, which is making me more and more nervous as the record improves.
How many views has that video got?
Not enough.
Okay.
Not enough. Which is good. There's a lot that needs to happen for that tattoo to happen. But what a wild ride. Yeah. Like 3 games ago, like we were like, he's got to go.
Fozzie's going to get
made
sacked.
the worst decision. The fact that Razor's not on there is an absolute abomination.
Yeah.
You know, I was getting my pitchfork ready. You were getting your arseless chaps ready. I don't know why. I don't know why. You just were. You know, everyone protesting their own way. But near 3 wins in a row, two trophies, Bledisloe and the old Rugby Championship.
How I was going to get to the coaches a bit later, but we might as well bring it up now. Fozzie, how does he rate now? Like, he's still the worst All Blacks coach ever who gets the Rugby Championship and the Bledisloe, like you say.
Yeah, it's a funny old thing, isn't it? Like, if Raynell didn't quite do that and they lost that game.
Very different kettle of fish, isn't it?
Oh, different. The whole week, the tone of the week, we would have been right back in the quagmire of the fury of the New Zealand public against the All Blacks, which is nothing to be, messed with. It's
massive.
Pretty
and then all the pressure goes on the Eden Park match, and then the South Africans are able to just march into that home game without any. Oh, we have to get how many points.
They would have just cruised to TRC.
Yeah.
But no, what's name decided he didn't like the cut of Bernard Foley's jib and said, "Hey, you're wasting time," and everybody's kind of okay with him now. And I think they asked Fozzie at his press conference, and how do you feel about all the pressure being off? And he said, "I don't think about it. It's I just live in the moment." It's like such bullshit.
Yeah.
He said a couple of things that I thought were a bit rubbish. In that he said that, and then he also. They said, "Oh, so you finally got Geordie a shot there. He's been saying he wanted to just play there for ages," and he went, "He's never mentioned to me."
Oh, he just likes playing wherever he's
exactly.
selected.
Even Geordie's said so many times in so many interviews, like, "Yeah, I'd love to play at 12.
Yeah.
Why does he have to ball? Is he just?
I don't know.
Messing with us?
Yeah, I don't know. He's an odd duck sometimes, isn't he?
He is an odd.
He's got the odd, really cutting quip, but he's not. Like, there are some guys whose press conferences I quite look forward to, because I know there's going to be, like, Eddie Jones is always a bit of a... He's a classic, like... Cause,
back and forward, a bit of roastiness.
I mean, have you ever seen those interviews with, like, celebrities who are promoting a movie and they're just bored by being asked, like, the dumbest questions? Eddie Jones, I feel like, because he does so many press conferences, right?
Yeah.
He does the newspapers, and then, like, as the pre-match, post-match, like...
Yeah.
I feel like he just has a bit of fun with it. Like, he's like, I know, I'm going to say some...
I think that's what I would do as well.
So
I'd come out with like a massive tub of KY, just keep applying it to my hands, just constantly go. Who's next question? Deep breathing.
He's got to make something of it, because otherwise, he just gets bored. Maybe just Fozzie's just bored, and I don't know.
Well, my advice for Fozzie is get himself some KY. Imagine if he came out in a gimp suit. Wouldn't that be a hell of a thing?
I don't want to picture that.
Speaking of gimp suits. The try from Sammy Whitelock. Holy moly. I saw it as an All Black fan live. On the live stream I said, I think he got it. And because you never saw a point where his hand went off it. But if I was an Australian fan, I would have been like, hell no. There's no way you can award that. But then he came up and he was holding it kind of like the ball right at the angle that he would have. The size of that man's hands.
I know.
Imagine a normal man's cock in that guy's hands. Imagine how tiny. Imagine how tiny it would be. Like, little...
He's a big human.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I would not like that.
No.
If he ever offered me a hand job, I'd say no for a number of reasons.
Interesting. That's like how your mind goes.
Well, just the size of his hands.
He's got big hands.
Exactly. Far out. Could get completely...
It did seem like a pretty dodgy call for mine. I mentioned in my, I think,
you don't
review,
like it.
I said that it was like one of those ones that if it was club rugby, if the ref gets one look at it, he probably goes, looks a bit dodgy. Yeah. But it's one of those ones where you slow it down kind of frame by frame and you can talk yourself into giving it.
Well, there was no conclusive, because they went up with the...
with the try call, then it has to be absolutely conclusive.
And there was no way to see where he lost the ball,
right.
you know. But was it Slipper's hand that was also on it at the time? It was one of the front rows.
I think it was Bell.
Yeah. His hand was on it, so there's a lot of people saying first official test own try.
Yeah, I saw that.
You know, so.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's why the TMO kind of sucks, because when you slow stuff down that much, the one that is your kind of gut feeling one can get kind of overturned. And I get why the TMO is there. It's to stop absolute howlers. And I don't know if that one... You've certainly seen a lot worse calls than that one. That one was just weird.
Is there a benefit I guess there's no benefit of the doubt. It used to be back in the day when they first introduced the TMO, it was benefit of the doubt went to the attacking team.
Basically, yeah.
But now it's just
whatever the ref called, it's got to be absolutely conclusive to overturn it.
Yeah, and there wasn't conclusive proof.
That's right.
And how did he go upstairs with that as a try?
I guess whatever angle he saw it, he thought it looked alright.
Yeah, wild.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wild.
Often it just depends where the ref is standing. And I think sometimes as fans we like to give the ref heaps of shit because we see an angle and we're like, it's absolutely, categorically, like sometimes you'll see a foot and touch and like, look, you can see his foot on the paint from one angle, but then you can see literally a different camera angle.
Yeah.
And actually the foot wasn't in touch, but whatever camera angle was...
It's an optical illusion.
It can be an optical illusion. So sometimes I've just got to detach myself from it and go, the ref maybe was in the best position to see it, so just go with it.
I think from you and I, like in terms of people who have YouTube channels, when we see a howler from the All Blacks, you know, not a howler, but one of those calls like that, we think,
this is going to be another one where the conspiracy theories come out.
I'm going to get freaking 80 South Africans telling me that it goes for the
Not just South Africans. There's a lot of fans who are not keen on the way All Blacks games are interpreted.
I don't know. Do we get the rub of the green? What do you reckon? Because we are, you know, we're the New York Yankees of rugby. We're the team that with the most wins and all that.
I mean, I think I've had a look at.
We're obviously on a big downslope right now.
Yeah.
Still won both trophies.
I try to look at it in a way that you can categorically like go black and white, and I think I've looked at the past and seen like penalties conceded.
Yeah.
And we didn't have like drastically lower numbers than other teams.
Yeah.
But I mean, that one stat is not enough to tell a story, because you could say, well, if you guys have had that many penalties, did that result in more yellow cards? Or are you guys getting away with stuff because you guys are cynical? Like the All Blacks for a long time have had a reputation for being cynical in their own 22, and we don't get carded for it, that kind of stuff. So
Richie McCaw was a legend at shithousery.
It's a funny one, because I used to watch the Crusaders and be like, you bastards are so cynical. You just kill our ball so we don't get a try. We end up taking a frickin' 3. You bastards. And then I'll watch the All Blacks and be like... Well done.
I was exactly the same. We're like, Richie is such a cheat. It's just ridiculous. The fact he doesn't get called up, it's outrageous. And then as soon as he puts that black jersey on, he's a good player.
He's so good. It's weird how that works, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't quite get it. I don't understand why he cheated so much for the Crusaders, but not for the All Blacks. It's just weird.
So good with the All Blacks. Wallabies in that game were just, we talked about them, they were just generally, like, handling was crap. I mean, Dave Rennie basically said in his post-match, like, they asked him about the Whitelock try, and he was just going like, yeah, whatever. Like, we weren't going to win. We weren't going to win. We were bad. They beat us in every area.
It felt really depressing, because it felt like they were just kind of defeated. Like there was the week before, there was a little bit of like fire and brimstone to in the reaction. This one was just like, oh, we suck.
Yeah, we suck. We got
it looked
Eden
like
Park again.
Yeah, Eden Park again. God, can we play every game at Eden Park? But it looked like a team that had lost faith in themselves, and it looked like a team that had lost faith in their coach.
I was gonna say, how much scrutiny? There's been actually a couple of articles since that loss. Like, is Dave Rennie the right man for the job? Does he need to be replaced? Like, he's had kind of an extended grace period, like where, despite his record not being as good as the guys who.
But okay, so is he going to be like the Ewan McKenzie of a Wallaby coach? Well, they're both Wallaby coaches.
Yeah.
You know how they replaced him
before, but his was for a scandal. Not performance.
But it was also performance. Like, they weren't going particularly well under and then they had the scandal, and then they almost won that game at Suncorp.
Right.
Like, in his very last game.
Right.
Like, but they had a pretty shithouse record.
And then Cheika takes over, gets them to a World Cup final.
Who's the Cheika waiting in the wings at the moment?
I mean, Dan McKellar is one of their assistants. He was pretty good with the Brumbies. I think he's the guy they're grooming for the role anyway. Yeah.
I feel like grooming is a word that's so tainted. Because now I feel like they're just... What's his name, McKellar?
Did you go to Sunday school? Or?
No, yeah, I did. I was an altar boy too. No shit. True story. I'm trying to find a photo. I don't know. I don't think I can find a photo. But yeah, grooming's a weird one because immediately makes me think that they're trying to do some kitty fiddling on Wallabies coach.
Preparing, giving experience. You can twist any of these words.
I've really gone some
COVID done funny things to your brain. Huh?
Talking about hand jobs from Sam Whitelock and
bizarre.
Kiddly fiddling Wallaby coaches. Going in strange directions. What was your question? Sorry,
Dave Rennie. They've had a lot of injuries. I mean, if you were to go prior to the Rugby Championship and say, which Wallabies players do you think would maybe be candidates for a World 15? Like, you'd be thinking guys like Karevi, you'd be thinking Michael Hooper. Yeah. These guys missed the entire competition. Yeah. And then just throughout the tournament, another guy goes down, another guy. Like Parise went down. Like, they had... I can't even just think off the top of my head. There was loads. I mean, Tupou would be one of their other kind of World 15 guys. He plays a couple of games.
Is Hoops...
Still not... I don't know, still not in the conversation. I don't know if he'll be back for the Northern Tour or not. Maybe next year.
Just taking an extended break, just to try to get things right.
But yeah, so do we need to take that into account when looking at Rennie's record?
It's just not.
I mean, everyone's been without players. Like Lucanio Arm got injured for the Box, and he's probably been one of the world's best players. You know what I mean? So everyone's been without somebody.
Yeah. But I think it's just one of those things with the Wallabies. You kind of feel they've always had depth as an issue. You know, like, and I feel like if you looked at that with the amount of class players that they lost, getting one over South Africa was pretty huge. Yeah. You know, almost getting a win over the All Blacks. What could have been, what didn't quite happen, that would have been massive.
I mean, if they win that game, on the flip side, we talked about the effect on Fozzie. On the flip side, for Rennie, that would have been a massive endorsement. Even if they'd gone to Eden Park and then lost. Like, it's still a 50-50 record for the Rugby Championship.
Yeah, 100%. Like... I don't know. I think they're going to stick with him.
Yeah, I can't see them replacing him at all. But
yeah, I think he's a good coach, but I think he's getting more... I feel like he's not as cool and composed as he once was.
Right, he's feeling the heat.
Yeah, I think he might be in a few ways, and he's... I don't think he's going to be with the Wallabies past the next one. I don't see them winning the World Cup. Could be wrong.
Ninth in the world at the moment, but still 9th in the world. But literally, I reckon they on their day can beat anybody above them. I don't see them as like having fallen off a cliff.
What were they going into the 2015 World Cup? You know, where they knocked out England as the host. That was huge.
That was massive. Yeah.
They had a dynamite freaking team that year, and they had a...
That was the Pooper year, wasn't it? That was the Pooper where they played Pocock and Hooper in the back row together, and it was the Pooper.
I haven't heard that.
You never heard that? They're playing the Pooper because like, which of these sevens do you play? They play both of them. I'm playing the Pooper.
Playing the Pooper. Yeah. He's running for some sort of...
He's in office now, I think. He's a senator.
Did he get in?
Yeah, he's a senator.
All right. Good on you, Pocock.
Yeah. He's a smart guy. I always used to... I followed the Brumbies social media feed, and they put in heaps of effort, but get like no engagement on their social media. They'll do like these... they'll get like 50 views on a video where it's like... They'll interview all their players and be like, who's the worst roommate, and like who's like who's got the worst dress code and all this stuff, and
who takes the stinkiest shits.
All the guys will come up with these dumb as dog shit answers, and then David Pocock will start talking about the environmental situation in Zimbabwe. Like he'll relate some like one liner dumb question to some real deep issue, and you're like, how? You're smart. Like you're supposed to be taking hits to the head and just.
Okay, are you trying to act as David Pocock? I'll ask you a dumb question.
I can't. He's a smart guy.
No, let's do it. Let's give it a go.
He's too smart.
So I've been suffering with anal leakage. Any thoughts on what I should do? By the way, it's just a hypothetical.
See Sam Whitelock. He can help you about that. Sam Whitelock.
Sorry.
He's got magic hands.
Oh, God. I'm not actually suffering with anal leakage, I promise. Anal leakage. Good name for a band. Next up,
I'm sure there's a bad
anal leakage. Okay, well you couldn't quite pocock that situation, could you? Oh god.
So yeah, we won the Rugby Championship.
How the hell did we do that?
Was that like? Is that like the least fanfare we've ever had for winning a Rugby Championship? Like it was.
We don't give it a lot of fanfare a lot of the time. It's usually, like it's the one that gets the least amount of fanfare in terms of rugby trophies in New Zealand is the Steinlager Cup when we beat Scotland, Wales, or France, whoever's coming down. They send like a big grade. So obviously the Irish were incredible this year, and it's a massive victory for them. But usually they just go. Yeah, you see freaking from Ruben Thorne to Tane Randall to Richie McCaw just going
through the motions.
We got this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's usually the one with the least amount of fanfare. But Bledisloe Cup's the biggest one, even though that one. Then the Freedom Cup, there's not a lot of
not as much, not yet. Maybe if it builds a bit of history, I don't know.
It's what other ones we got? Have we got some sort of one with England with like?
I'm sure we do.
It's like the Everest Cup. Is something to do with Syrian and Hillary or something?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
They try to make everything into a cup, which I guess takes.
Do you think we're going to get some sort of Queen Elizabeth Memorial Cup between all the Commonwealth nations, which is basically all the nations that play rugby anyway? Yeah. We'll keep out the USA. That'll really impact the quality.
Stick it to them, Yanks.
Yeah.
Nah, but I mean, maybe because we didn't win it like on the day. There was less. There's no like presentation.
I felt like we should have just picked it up. Been like, there's no chance you're gonna win this. You sacks. Well, that would have been.
That would have been stirring the pot.
That could have been just what they needed.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, yeah. Wow.
Like I can't imagine having watched the Six Nations for a couple of years. I can't imagine any situation where any of those teams wins it, and it's kind of just like, nice.
How many of them have you won though? Like
loads. The majority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The vast majority. Are we won over 60% of them?
Oh yeah, I would say so.
Alright. Yeah. So like
we usually don't win it in a Rugby World Cup year.
Yeah. Alright. Okay.
I don't think we won it in 2015. We didn't win it in 2011. The South Africans were the first to win the Rugby Championship and win the World Cup.
It's not even a big deal when we don't win it. I think it was actually a little bit of a big deal that we won it this year because we were just in such bad form.
Right.
But
still, nothing's made of it. It's like Fozzie doesn't really get much credit. Hey, you won the Rugby Championship. It's like, okay, good.
Yeah.
C plus.
Yeah, exactly. No, he still goes down.
You won it, but you had a pretty average record. You lost. You lost 2 games.
So, in terms, do you look at this coaching unit as a different unit now that we've got Schmidt and Ryan on it, or do you still think?
Oh, I think it's definitely changed.
Yeah, the frailties have been strengthened, or
I think they're putting pieces in where they were.
It was an 80-minute performance, and I thought that that was one of the things that they've struggled with throughout the whole season. Is just playing amazing for 20 minutes and then not just switching off, but just like, being up there with me trying to get a hot dog. Like at the.
What's wrong with you getting hot dogs?
Well, just they're not meant to be. They're meant to be on the field. Not a great analogy.
Okay. Still thinking about Sam Whitelock and David Pocock.
Well, I also had you and Arthur Chaps in this episode at one stage as well. Yeah, there's been a lot of stuff going on. A lot happening. But they don't. Yeah, what I'm saying is they switch off chronically, where other teams can just really, really come back into it and get a lot of points quickly.
That's
against
right.
us.
Yeah.
And the one time this year that was really, really encouraging to see was when we had our backs really against the wall. Was that test in Nona Loftus in the high? Obviously in the high value. It was Ellis Park.
Yeah.
That was emotional because we had. I feel like that was the most emotional.
Biggest win of the tournament, right?
Yeah.
Because that was absolute backs up against the wall. Fozzie's about to get fired, and then
everything was.
Yeah, we actually went into that one as underdogs,
Yeah, and like going into their spiritual home.
That's right.
That was massive, and they had totally written us off as well.
That's what everyone had.
Yeah, and that was.
By all accounts, Razor was already signing a pre-contract deal to take over.
Yeah. Crazy times, eh?
Yeah.
Crazy times.
Lots changed in a few weeks.
It'd be interesting to see how we look back on that period as, like, in 2 years, whether that was exactly the right move and it was one of the greatest decisions ever made to hold strong.
Or that was the time to pull the trigger and they ummed and ahed about it.
I still think the latter. Like, I know they're a lot stronger than they once were, but we just.
Do you look at this All Black side going up north in a couple of months and think, yeah, we're gonna?
I feel better about them than I did a few weeks ago. They've got 3 wins in a row at the moment, which is not usually a big deal.
No.
But it's been huge.
Yeah.
It's huge from the back of that Argentinian test, like 3 good wins in a row. Like to get that 50-point win against the Argentinians, and 2, 1 controversial, but we played bloody well.
There was some good stuff in that game. Yeah. Both sides showed some really good rugby. That was like, barring the controversy, was a really fun game.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that, I think a lot of us were saying, people who have been watching these players for years, when the rest of the world was saying, this is just not a good All Black team.
Yeah.
They don't have the players. And
a lot of these players are quite good.
These players are
a lot of these guys, see them play for the Crusaders, they're really good.
They're amazing. They're as good as any other All Black team, that I've seen in recent history. I really do think that. But it's just been nice to see them click for a little bit longer. And I think maybe that comes with the point of any team. It takes a little bit of time to gel.
Yeah, maybe.
And maybe this getting Geordie into CN5 is going to be a huge thing that we look back on going, he solidified that, every aspect of it. I just loved his, he did so many things well.
Yeah.
But him being a second kicking option, we haven't had a really good second 5 kicker since, believe it or not, Martin Nonu.
It's a weird one we've got, kind of like, there's been the call, like, do you play Tupaia, because he's a big unit who can carry the ball, or do you play Harvey who can kick and distribute, but he doesn't really bring it physically? And then you've got Geordie, who's like, I'm a big guy and I can kick the ball.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And I also look like Beavis from Beavis and Butthead.
I've never.
He does.
He does.
He either looks like Butthead or Beavis. I can't remember. He looks like the blonde one.
Beavis.
Speaking of,
that's Beavis.
Out of the two of us, which is?
You said duty.
Yeah, exactly. I said hand job.
Yeah. South Africa.
Oh yes.
They had a big task ahead of them.
Huge task.
I can't help but wonder if.
Before we talk about South Africa, can we talk about our favourite South African YouTuber, rugby YouTuber?
Oh, Rian.
Rian Lou, yes. Everybody go subscribe to that person.
He's funny.
He's very, very funny.
And insightful.
But more funny. But very also insightful.
Yeah.
He did my favourite thing that he did was he snipped a bit of your thing going, I don't usually swear, but honestly, what a piece of shit.
Yeah.
That was...
Not talking
about...
what
is it? I don't usually swear, but what a piece of shit,
yeah.
honestly. It was one of those two. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
And he actually did a tweet like that saying how I respond when somebody gives me eggplant lasagna.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, that's it's very funny. Very funny.
That is pretty good.
Yeah. Everyone should go subscribe to that guy.
Yeah, no, he's very underrated.
Underrated. The best in South Africa.
Definitely.
Yeah, he really takes it to South African Rugby magazine.
They're one of your favourites, aren't they?
They really goad my goat, those guys. They really do. But I watch it. As soon as I see one of their videos,
you click on it.
I click on it immediately.
Because you know it's going to make you angry.
Yeah. How
Why do you do that?
stupid are we? How stupid are us humans?
Yeah. But they won. South Africa. Score 38-21.
They did win, and
they had a big task. They had to win by like 40 points. They needed a bonus point.
Moment there where I thought
17-0. I was thinking, shit, these guys they're gonna push for it. They'll get close if they go like they did in the first half, in the second half. But then Argentina gets a late try in the first half, and it just kind of slips through their fingers. Maybe the pressure of having to chase the 40 points was a bit much. Like without that pressure, maybe they actually do win by 40 points.
I don't think they do. Like, there's no team in the world that chases a 40-point win with rolling mauls. But South Africa. And they were bloody well almost doing it. They were 17 points up.
17-0 up. There was a weird moment where they were 14-0 up. They'd been going for mauls all day. And then they were like, we're going to take 3. We're going to take a 55-metre 3.
But, they obviously you thought that was strange. And the commentators thought it was strange at the time. And I thought, well, if they can bag 3 points, that's another 3 points for the tally.
If they'd kicked 3 every time they got a penalty, they could have taken the scoreboard over pretty quickly because Argentina were conceding penalties like nothing.
No, they both were. That was a pretty...
The penalty count was almost 40 in that game, which is very high.
I would say it was a great Rugby Championship, and every game was pretty damn good, apart from that one. I think that was the worst game in the whole Rugby Championship.
Great crowd.
great crowd, great event, great occasion, and probably some good parts of the game, and then but just
very slow. The first half took ages, time-wise, just to get the first half done. I
wasn't watching live.
Right.
I was struggling.
Skip.
And I skipped most of the game.
Yeah.
Well, I watched it, but most of the game was stoppages.
My son, because that game was on at 4 something in the morning, my son had vomited all through his bed at 1:30. So I was already kind of struggling to stay awake, and it was just...
And it's a weird thing when your child is vomiting or got some sort of bodily fluid coming out of one hole or another.
Yeah.
It takes it out of you emotionally as well.
Yeah, that's right. It's pretty draining. Yeah, it's not pleasant.
And then you got to sit there and I
had a weird moment because I came out of my room and my daughter's bedroom was on that side and my son's bedroom was that side, and I had to pause to listen. Which way is the vomiting come from? That way. It's my son.
Okay. So can we do a little bit of role play?
Okay.
I love a role play. I'll make a little background noise, but I'll pretend to be your wife.
Right.
Okay. And
that's going to be disconcerting. Honey, you need a shave.
Okay. You never look better, darling. So what's the conversation that happens between the two of you? Okay, so we're in bed.
And we hear, one of the kids' bed's sick.
What?
One of the kids.
What?
One of the kids.
What?
Get up.
Who?
I'm gone.
Well, what's going?
You got to follow me. I'm going.
All right, so
I basically picked up the kid.
You lead the charge.
Handed the child, and then I cleaned up the bed. I was more worried about the bed getting dirty at first.
Yeah. I very much care about my things more than my children.
Yeah.
No, I've had similar situations with my daughter. Yeah, absolutely, and you do. Because you're like, what I'm always thinking is, I've got to get this human being back into this thing.
That's right.
Within the next hour at least.
That's right. I can't have it.
And it's covered in vomit.
That's right.
And you're just picking it up and you're getting vomit all over your hands and arms.
Yeah.
This is a rugby podcast, by the way.
Yeah.
But also, if you're a parent, you get it.
Kids.
Who would have them?
They make spew.
They're overrated.
At times.
I like my one. She made a guest appearance in this.
She did. That'll be edited out.
You won't see her face.
No. She was cute. I can attest.
Mm.
But no, he's all good now. He's all good.
Yeah.
He got it all out of him. But then, I was pretty knackered because the bed, I ended up cleaning it.
Good on you.
Cleaned the bed up, and then he went to sleep in my bed.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my sneaky way to get my wife to monitor in case he keeps spewing. But he didn't. He was kind of one and done.
Yeah.
But then I went to sleep on the couch and then set my alarm for the Springboks game. But I never really went back to sleep. I was kind of just half dozing. And then, so I had a couple hours sleep and then watched that game, and it was just a whole lot of whistle. I mean, there's still some cool tries. The last South African try is an awesome one.
Yeah, that was.
Malcolm Marx is doing his thing.
Well, he does amazing charging runs, didn't he?
Yeah, and wins a turnover like he always does. One of the Argentinian guys got face kicked the ball into him with the first minute. Imhoff gets the ball. He looked like he'd been because Frans Steen's got massive boot.
Definitely Falcon of the Year goes.
That was sometimes Falcons are embarrassing. That one was genuinely ooh,
concerning.
Is he going to have an HIA? That was genuinely.
He probably should have.
Yeah, that was a big. He reeled at that one.
Exactly. Head went back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you're right. One Gonzalez stepping on Willie LaRue made him look pretty silly.
That was beautiful.
So it's not like the game wasn't without its magic moments, but there was
tasty stuff. But it felt more like an American football than rugby.
And then there was a certain point where you're like, right, so they were going to win the game. They're not going to get near the 40 points. Yeah. So it's just kind of slowly going to its conclusion.
Can a guilty admission, what I actually did during the game was I was watching it.
Did you know the result?
No, I didn't when I started watching it.
Right.
But when it got to 17-0 and it was about 30 minutes gone.
You were like, okay.
No, I felt a little bit nervous.
Okay.
And I was
so you had to check it up?
Yeah, I checked. So I went on Twitter and I was like, oh, thank God.
Really?
But then I watched it with not as much interest.
Yeah, you can't.
It's
key not to know the result.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I was just focusing on all the whistle. How many cards in that game?
Was it 6?
Lots.
It was lots. Yeah.
Yeah, and not. But just back to the Australian game, I think I'm chopping and changing it very quickly. But just to say one thing nice about Australia, the best they played
was when they had 14 men on the field. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, give them some credit.
I was like, oh, they've done well here. They've done really well to keep us out. But I think they've used the gas.
They should have had that Corin Betty try when he put his foot in touch.
Yeah,
when they had 14 men. That could have been a game changer, but not to be.
We'll go back to South
Africa. Yeah. So,
how do you think Argentina's going to look back on this tournament? Oh, they got that big win in New Zealand, pretty historic.
You can't take that away. That's
got a great victory over Australia.
That's right.
Got a massive.
They scored a bunch of tries in that game.
Yeah, massive pumping over them. Sad. I'm a little gutted that they came fourth again. You know, like I think they could have really done with actually getting a third or a second or something like that.
Yeah.
Especially they for 2 of the weeks they were number 1, weren't they?
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
But you kind of went out in straight sets against
they lost both their games at home, didn't they? They lost. Well, no, they had 3 games at home. They won and lost to Australia, and then lost to South Africa. So they needed one more win at home.
Yeah,
you can't.
They should have been able to get one.
They needed to win the first game against the Wallabies, I guess, but they were a bit kind of slow out of the blocks, and then responded really well.
And it was irritating to see. It was similar to the week before, where they got themselves right back into the game.
And then, you're right. It was kind of a carbon copy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like, they go behind, they look like they're dead and buried. They just get back to touching distance and then throw the game away again. Or, like you could say, credit to the Springboks, they claw the game back.
Yeah.
The Springboks need a bit of a rocket for not holding on to a big lead.
I haven't watched much of Checo. Did you watch any of his press conferences?
I didn't see any of his post-match stuff. Yeah, I can't imagine he'll be thrilled, but I mean, he's been rotating the squad. He's brought in some different players. He's not been just relying on the same guys. So I think he genuinely is just looking at the World Cup and saying, how can I best prepare this squad for the World Cup?
I think they're on the right, even though they came fourth, which is where they generally come.
Yeah,
they're not the Italy of the success of the World Championship.
Rugby Championship. Last year, the Argentinians genuinely were a pretty hard team to watch, but they're actually, they're all right.
They've got some great world-class players. They're still making frustrating errors.
Yeah, for sure.
As somebody who, like, you kind of always root for the underdog. So when I watch them play Australia or South Africa,
you're hoping that they'll get up.
Yeah, I'm hoping they get up. And it's frustrating watching them because they have a great pack. They have some really, really world-class players and all over the park, but just don't, like, switch off.
Just for a moment.
For periods.
Yeah, skills error lets them down.
Yeah, skills aren't great.
Some of that's mental as well. Like, passes that they would catch 90% of the time just...
When it's on.
Yeah, when it's on.
When it's on, they drop it. Yeah. And that's coach killer stuff. How do you get around that?
Yeah. Some of those just basic stuff as well. Like, their restarts are still pretty ordinary. But, I mean...
What's the local... Like, I have no idea. Like, I know that Argentina play... in the Rugby Championship. I was familiar with the Jaguares.
Yeah.
But what's the scene in Argentina below that?
I think most of their rugby is amateur. They do have the Jaguares, after getting the boot from Super Rugby, went on to play in the SLAR. I think it's like Superliga something.
Can't we have them back?
It's kind of like the MLR in the States. It's kind of like that with like the teams from South America, but it's obviously
lower level.
It's a lower level. So all their top guys play in Europe.
They're playing playing teams from Chile and stuff.
Yeah.
Chile.
But the Jaguares, I think the first year they played in it, they demolished everybody. And then the second year, they didn't actually win it the last year. I think, was it the Chilean team that knocked them out?
Yeah.
But yeah, they didn't win it. So that next level...
Chile's one of those teams on the up, aren't they?
That's right. Yeah. A lot of local homegrown talent there. They're really
going
to be in the World Cup.
You know what Chile translates to? Do you know what it translates to? It's a serious question.
No.
Cold winter.
Right.
I think it does, by the way. I think it does. Google it. Somebody Google it. I'll have the results. Cold winter. They have the most similar climate to anywhere else in the world as New Zealand, by the way. Great rugby conditions. They do. If you look at us on the latitude lines, we're right in the same place. And they've got very, very similar climate to New Zealand.
They got more mountains.
Do they? We got lots of mountains.
They got more mountains.
How they're bigger?
Probably.
The West, we've got tons of mountains.
I'm sure they've got more mountains.
Well, just by
the whole country is just mountains. Wow.
The whole West Coast is just mountains.
I feel like Chile's longer than New Zealand.
So it's a landmass. It's a surface area type of argument. Okay. But yeah, Chile...
We'll look this up after. Who's got more mountains?
You know, the irritating thing about this is the people watching this have the internet. So they can't be like, you're full of shit. Yeah.
Yeah, true. You're long gone to that. I was lucky enough to live at a time where you could genuinely bullshit people where they couldn't actually fact check you. Pre-internet.
Yeah, it was great for our father's generation.
That's right. Just tell those tales.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
100%. Ah, dear.
South Africa didn't get a bonus point. They didn't get close to winning the championship in that final.
It wasn't even points diff.
No, they didn't get the bonus point. They scored, I think, 5-3. So you need 3 more.
Well done, New Zealand. We did it. After it was like sort of parachuting and then like your first shoot doesn't go off, and you're like, oh my god, we're dead.
Yeah.
And then the second shoot doesn't go off. You're like, oh my god, we're dead.
And then you land in a big pile of shit and you survive.
Yeah. Feces to the
rescue.
To the rescue. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the situation I was going to come up with.
I'm pretty sure that's happened. That's why I thought about it. Like some guy was skydiving and like thought they were dead, and they actually landed in a big farmer's manure pile, and they found manure because they hit it at such speed that it was in every orifice. But that could be an urban legend. I don't actually know. Someone with the internet, please check that.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully, we can find someone with the internet to watch this or listen to this.
It's on Spotify.
It's on Spotify.
And Google Podcasts.
And wherever else you get your podcasts.
Apple Podcasts.
We need to mention that at the start.
We should.
We need that. Yeah.
Put the little thingies.
Yes.
Yeah. All over the shop. Yeah.
Look at that.
Standout players for you from the tournament? I know your favourite's Malcolm Marx.
Yeah, I was a big fan of Malcolm Marx. I know he gets a lot of shit. Lindy, I really like watching him play. Yeah.
People always give him stick for not passing.
Boy, he's a powerhouse.
He's got big league drive, doesn't he?
Yeah, and the meters after contact.
Yeah, massive.
You
can't buy that kind of thing.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
I think he was the most impressive back on the field for me.
Look on your arm before you go into it.
Yeah, Franz Steyn didn't play particularly well.
First game at 10 since 2008.
Missed touch a couple times.
3 times? Yeah, man. You can't be doing that.
How old is he? That's one of my ongoing questions.
Getting on.
Yeah. He's not a young man, is he? Is he our age?
A bit younger, I think.
Jimmy Goppeth is young. Jimmy Goppeth is
still playing rugby.
He's our age.
Genuinely.
Yeah.
Still
I remember saying when I was just left school, I used to be really impressive. I'd be like, gee, this guy's playing. He's our age.
Yeah, I know.
Like, far out.
Scary when you saw those first players getting named who were like, man, he's the same age as me.
Yeah, he's freaking 17.
Yeah.
18. And now you're like,
whoa! Long gone.
Now these days, he's like, he's our age. He's ancient.
Yeah. I know. Guys that are still playing. I think Augustine Creevy is also similar. Yeah.
Yeah. He is an old boy, isn't he?
Clementine Gonzalez was really good for the Pumas.
Oh my gosh.
Big work rate, big ticker, good skills, man.
Special stuff.
Yeah, really. He's been playing for at least a year or two now, and he's been good, but this time he actually he looked special.
I like the look of, in terms of the Australian side, I like the look of Mick Wright, even though they took him off a little bit.
Rob Valentini was
I like Pete Samu.
Pete Samu was phenomenal.
You know?
He's had this weird career where he moved over from the Crusaders to get in the Wallabies.
Yeah.
And then he kind of got token minutes here and there because the Wallaby back row has always been really competitive.
Yeah.
And he's gone from can't even get selected to regularly on the bench to now he's like the starting guy.
Yeah.
Albeit in the absence of Michael Hooper, but still.
Yeah.
You can't argue with it, man. You can't not pick him.
No, they've been going with real big back three, even though they got guy got injured. Well, I like the look of
Leota.
Yeah, Leota. Yeah. I really liked Pete Samu, Leota, and
it's one area they never struggle for depth.
Yeah.
The Wallabies back row is always
it's kind of a glamour,
good.
It's glamour positions I kind of like, don't they? They usually got a good halfback, first five's always a bit.
First five's a bit touch and go. They got lots of guys they must have played more first fives than anybody else's tournament.
Yeah.
Well, the Box have played a few as well.
So yeah, I really like the loose trio. That's basically what I was about to say.
Right.
For them,
Len Ikitau was pretty good in the midfield. Yeah, Callaway.
But Paisami and Ikitau.
Yeah.
I think they're both solid players and players that should go all the way through the World Cup.
Yeah.
Callaway looks like a very solid, good player who can do the good things when he needs to do the good things.
Sia Khaleesi was pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
Heaps of tackles, heaps of turnovers,
Went a little bit
roll stuff.
Quiet, just not in terms of bad performance, but just knowing that he needed to be the guy to do the hard stuff.
Yeah, true.
You know,
He doesn't seem to get as much stick for that as what we give Sam Cane. I don't know what it is.
He's a better player.
Maybe.
Yeah. Sam Cane's a very good player.
Yeah, different.
But the thing is, maybe it's you're suffering. You know, what did Mahoney say to him? You're shit, Richie McCaw, basically.
Yeah, money.
And maybe that's money. Maybe that's what us as a public.
He always gets compared to Richie McCaw.
We're going to judge him. He's a number 7 captain that came not long after McCaw, who is probably the greatest All Black of all time. You know, and they were like, okay, that's your benchmark.
Yeah, true.
And you're not living up to that.
All Blacks players. Who stood out?
I think Samasoni Takiaho
absolutely
is the guy you can't help but mention.
Yeah.
I was a little bit surprised Cody Taylor got the start this week.
How'd you think he went?
Okay.
Okay, without being phenomenal.
Okay, bordering on average.
Yeah. Got to try.
Got to try. His throwing into the line-out still was pretty subpar. I think
certainly wasn't as good as the weeks before.
No. He was
Will
okay.
Jordan. Still a big attacking threat.
Huge.
Like to see him at fullback.
Love to see him. Imagine, Fozzie, if you play people where they want to play. Look what just happened with Geordie. Geordie now is opening up that number 15 spot. You still got your man out there who can get his 15-metre penalties. Let's give him a bash. Who else? Who do you put at 14 if you have...
Sevu Reece, maybe?
Sevu Reece. But almost the old days where they used to put Bodie Barrett on the wings, you know?
Sevu Reece has fallen out of favour for some reason. I don't think he was going too bad. He's got a pretty good all-round game. Kicks the ball infield well for the Crusaders.
Yeah.
He's quick. He's powerful for a guy his size.
Didn't play particularly well in the Irish series.
Maybe that's it. A lot of guys' reputations are a bit tarnished from that series.
Yeah. Even Angus Tauerfeld has seen bugger all.
That's right. At least our young props are worthy of a bit of praise. We're focusing on all the backs. Lomax and De Groot. I think they solidified themselves as
Lomax is my man for who came in and not with a big rep. And
just quietly got down to his business, didn't he?
Yeah, very impressive.
It's business time.
Yeah, it is business time. He keeps his business socks on while he has sex with everybody.
You're supposed to go with some kind of double entendre.
No, I couldn't think I wasn't clever enough. The old cover brain wouldn't let me do that. I'm sorry. It took all of my power not to say the F word.
Well done.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Nice.
Yeah, no, but he looked very good, and also mentioned to you the Sam Whitelock and his giant hand job hands, and Brodie Retallick, 63 tests together, equaling Victor Matfield and Bucky's Botta's record. So outstanding pair of locks.
They are.
And I think they'll play for another 10 years.
We might need them to.
Well, Sam Whitelock is 140 tests. He's going to be. He's got a good shot at being our most test.
Yeah.
And most capped player.
Doesn't get injured very often, eh?
No, he's very solid. He's one of those players who just you can. I can't think of many games where he hasn't played well.
Even him on a bad day is usually pretty solid.
Yeah, 100%. He's not quite like Richie. Always played very well. You know, that was the thing. It's one thing not having a bad game, but making every game good.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of what Richie did. But I don't think he's quite there. But he's
still not far away.
Bloody close. And when he does play well, which is often, I thought he was pretty good on the weekend as well.
He's been good all tournament, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. What about for you? Anyone else that we haven't mentioned that you think?
I think we touched on most of them from all the teams. I mean, actually, Thomas Gaggio, the Argentinian loose head, he's dynamic.
Yeah, I like.
There's something about like a pinball prop who just loves the contact.
Not a huge man either.
Not really, but he's kind of like a ball, isn't he? Yeah. Like he's just a ball of muscle where he just loves. Yeah, he just loves ball and hand stuff.
Just loves.
Yeah.
Getting in there. Getting right in there.
Yep.
You can see it in my eyes where I'm ruminating
the
when I do this show.
There's the twinkle.
I didn't do it though, did I?
His self-control's incredible.
Other rugby. What happened?
Actually, before we get to that, I just want to touch on, because we talked about Cheika, Rennie and Fozzie. Jacques Ninaba. Is he under any pressure? That was kind of a middling campaign. If the All Blacks don't get that...
It's a bit of a weird thing. It kind of reminds me of when Vladimir Putin is not the president in Russia. He always has some underling who...
The face of it. What was his name? Medvedev or something. I don't remember his name.
Whatever his name is. He seems like that character is to
So you think Russie's the guy still pulling the strings?
Yeah, so I think that's the way a lot of South Africans feel as well. Like,
Right.
and people are just waiting for... Russie's been a little bit more hands-off in this
Well, he's had to
campaign.
be because he's had that suspension with the whole video thing. He's not been able to be present. I think he must be almost done with that, I think.
Yeah.
I think it was a year.
Was that harsh, you reckon? Just him venting online for we do it all the time.
That's a contentious topic.
We do it all the time.
There are those who'd say refs don't deserve any more protection than anyone else, but ref has a pretty shit job.
Yeah.
The best result for a ref is nobody's talking about you at the end of the game.
100%. Yeah. That is the best result.
Yeah, so that's kind
of... You can be like Nigel Owens and everyone falls in love with you.
He's got his detractors.
Yeah, I guess so. But all players have their detractors, no matter how good they are as well. This
is true. Other rugby, the Black Ferns gave the Japanese an absolute hiding. I didn't watch much of it.
I watched a bit. It was 95-12. So they're ranked 2 or 3 or whatever, and the Japanese were ranked 11th.
Yeah,
I think.
My understanding, which is again
just
felt
a bit silly.
I think they're one of the kind of up and coming teams. I don't know what the comparison would be in the men's game. Maybe like against the Georgia, or maybe even I don't know.
Have you ever seen children wearing headgear? Right.
No.
So when children wear
I have.
When children wear headgear, it kind of comes down too far over their head.
Right.
And most of the Japanese ladies had headgear on.
Right.
And they looked tiny.
Okay.
Like, and it was all kind of flopping down over their faces.
Right.
And like a little bit of hat prop action going on for everybody there. I'm sure you enjoyed it.
For those of you watching, if you missed it on the podcast, he just turned his head around. Yeah. What do you call those hats?
Cheese cutters.
Okay.
Yeah. Flat caps.
Flat caps. That's the one I know.
Yeah. So it was all and as soon as it started, it was just like this team is
a bunch of kids.
Yeah. Well, just not good enough. No way near good enough. And it was 95-12. Shades of 95 when the All Blacks pumped the
women's game. I think is still like that, and that you've got the established teams who've been putting some kind of focus on the women's game for a while, and then the teams who are just kind of putting their toes in the water.
Yeah.
And I mean, just look at the Japanese team. The Japanese men's team is one that always gets criticised for not having enough locally produced talent.
Don't care.
But I mean, the women's team was clearly all. I think pretty much all.
I'm happy for them to be 50% Japanese and 100% Japanese money and 50% just awesome world class talent across. Like, I think it's a fun team. Like, and the Japanese, but I still feel like they play Japanese style rugby and the Japanese players
they still play to their strengths. Yeah.
They add a lot. They're quick. They're nimble. They're agile. Just did the same thing 3 times in 3 different ways.
Good thing.
Yeah. But it was with that Japanese women's game that we watched. It was like, who's getting much out of this? You know,
not much prep for the Black Ferns for the World Cup in a couple of weeks.
Boy, they've got some serious coaches. Wayne Smith. Ted's involved. Chrono's involved as well. Like, they're taking it seriously, aren't they?
That's right.
Yeah. But when's it start? 2 weeks?
2 weeks, yeah.
You going along to any of the games?
Haven't got any tickets yet. I noticed tickets are still available. Like, even the final has got tickets available. So there's a couple of games at Waitakere Stadium, which is just down the road from us. So
might be a good chance to whip out the old arseless chaps. Head along. Head along with the ladies' game, see what goes on.
Well, it's like they've got, I think generally the way it works is they've got 3 games in a row. So you buy a ticket and you get access to 3 games back to back to back.
I've been thinking about doing some vlogging.
Yeah.
You know, like, that seems like a... Well, let's be honest, like, we want to cover it. We want to do a little...
As much as we can.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, what we need to do is talk about things that people are actually going to watch. And the crappy thing I've noticed about, even if you watch Squidge's women's videos...
So your view counts
just go...
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of time and energy to make this stuff.
That's right.
So.
But I mean, it'd be remiss of us not to go when it's in our backyard.
Yeah, it's like down the road.
Literally at the stadium.
All right. Well, should we do that? We'll
go to a couple of games.
We'll go to some games
For sure.
All right. Take the. It's probably the one chance we actually have to actually talk to some international players.
No, you actually want to talk to players?
I reckon that's the one chance we probably had. Okay, these guys have got a podcast that about 5,000 people watch every week.
I went to the games that they had here when they had the Canadians and the Americans here and the Aussies. We came over with, I forget what it was called, something Pacific Fours or something. Yeah. And they had a game at the Waitakere Stadium. Yeah. So I went along. I watched the Black Ferns take on, I think it was Canada. And because there'd been a game on before it, which I didn't see.
Yeah.
But the Aussie players just came and just sat in the empty seats right in front of me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I was just like, that does not happen in the men's game.
Get on the channel. I'm the second world's biggest YouTuber for rugby.
I could see one of the girls was on her Instagram. I was like, I wonder what she's looking at.
Well, she wasn't looking at 2 Cents Rugby?
No, she wasn't looking at 2 Cents.
Do you have an Instagram?
Rugby. No, I'm a bit old.
Neither do I. I'm a bit old too.
Yeah.
So don't follow us on Instagram. You're not going to find much. Not going to find much. And other rugby that happened.
I did watch a couple of games because my son was sick. I didn't end up watching the games on the Sunday, but I watched Bath, who played. Who'd they play? Wasps.
All right.
That was a weird game because Bath were awful last year, and then Wasps are broke. I think they're about to go into administration.
Seriously?
Yeah, they're out of money. So it was a weird result, a weird game.
Who won?
Wasps did, but it was.
I've been to Bath.
Have you?
Yeah, it's nice.
A bit posh?
It's nice. It's not so... Is it posh?
Was that the game I watched?
I went to the Roman baths as well.
Oh, yeah.
It was pretty
That's where it gets its name from, eh?
Yeah, it was pretty dope. I liked it. It was big.
Was it really Wasps that played? I can't remember. I can't remember. I got no sleep
I tried to watch a European game, and I don't mean this rudely, but I fell asleep.
Okay.
But I did not fall asleep because the quality of the game. I fell asleep because I spent the whole day water blasting out in the sun. Look at the back of my neck.
Oh wow, you got sunburn.
Quite burnt. We got getting sunburned. The sun's coming out. And I was just been sunburned. And I was like coming off COVID and absolutely exhausted. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I've got to watch some Northern. Mark's gonna hold me to the fire if I don't watch some European rugby. So I just put it on. Ospreys versus the Lions, I think.
You were on Spark Sport?
Yeah, I watched it on Spark Sport, and I was like, okay, well, I know the Lions. Yeah. And I was like, freaking, what's his name? Alan. The guy's been around forever for Wales. A captain of Wales.
Oh, Alan Jones.
Alan Jones was playing.
That's his team, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, far out. Talk about Jimmy Gopperth.
Yeah.
And
he's still younger than us.
Yeah. Far out. But
he looks older than us, I think.
He's been looking.
He's seen some hard times.
He looks like he's in his 50s. So I was like, all right, I'll watch this. And then I just put my head down. And then I had my headphones on. And then I woke up at half time. And I was like, time for dinner. Can't watch this. Yeah. So, no. Who won that game? You have no idea?
I want to say Ospreys.
You want to say Ospreys? You're not certain?
I'm pretty sure Ospreys.
Okay.
But yeah, I didn't get to see much of the rugby just because I also needed to sleep because my son vomit everywhere. So that's my excuse anyway.
I was doing the water blasting.
True. Yeah. No vomiting?
I didn't vomit while I was doing the water blasting.
I did watch Leinster play Benetton, which is a weird one because Leinster, who are like the Crusaders of Ireland, had a bit of a scare the week before against Zebre, who last season only had one win in the entire competition. So it was actually quite a close game, unexpected. It'd be like the Crusaders playing a second-string Crusaders side getting a scare from the Sunwolves back in the day. It was like that, very close. And then Benetton, on the flip side, had a good result the week before. So I was like, underperforming Leinster against an overperforming Benetton. How's it going to go? And then Leinster just mopped the floor with them.
So they bounced back.
They brought some of their big guns back.
For you.
One of their hooker got 4 tries.
Wow.
Yeah, Dan Sheehan. Played down here when he came with the Irish.
Yeah, rings a bell.
Yeah.
In terms of what is happening with the South African players now at the end of TRC, like they're going on to the Northern
Tour, so most of them won't get released to their clubs.
So they don't play any they won't play any URC.
I don't think so. No.
When do they get? Do they just not have much of a break for Christmas then?
Not really, yeah. But a lot of the Springboks guys are based in Europe anyway. Sometimes the European clubs, I think, are a bit harder on them.
The French guys can be really tough.
They want their pound of flesh a bit more, so... Oops.
Oh.
My fault.
I never do it, so...
It's there, I can reach.
Yeah, you got those long arms. But I will watch some games next weekend, I promise.
Yeah. No, there was some good ones. I planned to watch more, just... stuff happens.
Life happens.
I would have watched it today, but it was a public holiday here today with the passing of the Queen, so I made a conscious decision to just spend the day with my children.
Well done. Good parenting.
We spent some time in the garden.
That's nice.
Planted some flowers.
I went to see my mum today as well.
Oh, nice.
With my daughter.
How's she doing?
She's alright. She says hi.
She live far from here?
No, she lives in Glenfield, so not too far.
Okay. Not too far at all.
Yeah. She's good. He's good.
Okay.
Ticking along.
My mate gave me some bags of chicken shit about 6 months ago because he's got chooks.
What does that have to do with my mum? What was it about me talking to my mother and going, you know what, chicken shit?
Just something I did today. I moved the bags.
Oh, right.
They've been sitting in my garden. Right. They were sitting in my garden, and then I moved the bags, and under the bags there were some slugs and snails, like they were hiding out there. And my son kind of wanted to kill them. Which is a bit... Because the other day I found him, like, squashing ants. And, like, I did that as a kid as well. But I was like...
It's natural stuff.
Yeah, but I was like, no, don't kill the snails. Leave them alone.
Killing snails and stuff, yeah. It's when you gotta worry if he's killing cats.
Cats, yeah.
Don't kill cats, everybody.
Yeah, or snails, really. I mean, I used to salt them when I was a kid. That's pretty disgusting.
You used to what them?
Salt them.
Oh, salt them.
Do you know what that does?
No, I don't.
It basically, like, melts them.
Oh, yes.
It makes them bubble.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty...
Right, you sicko.
It's pretty disturbing.
And you didn't grow up to be a psychopathic killer in any way?
Someone in an acid bath, I guess.
Oh,
no.
Wow.
No.
Well done.
I don't hardly kill anything these days, although I kill cockroaches.
Cockroaches. They have it coming. Yeah. All right, I think we've talked about rugby.
I think that's it.
We've talked about all sorts
European
of things.
rugby. We talked about the coaches,
hand
players.
jobs, arseless chaps. We're covered.
Can you hold a basketball and keep it...
Palm it.
Palm it? I can do it just.
Well, you should be able to do it. You're a big man with big hands.
I can do it just, but not really. Not enough to have full control of it to like dunk. And plus, I can't jump.
You can't jump.
Not really. I can touch the hoop.
Your knees are all...
I got a bad knee.
Yeah. He's old.
I blame my kids for that.
I'm old. We're both old.
I
turned 39 last week, so I think I'm older now.
Oh, nice. You're older than me. My birthday's next month.
39. Ugh.
Yeah, I will also be 39 next month.
Yeah, 83 babies, yeah?
There you go.
Rock and roll. If you're an 83 baby, comment below.
You're a pig.
Yeah. Yeah, you're the pig.
You're the pig.
You're the pig.
It's actually pretty auspicious. It's actually quite a good thing.
Is it?
I've lived in China. No one was like, you're the pig. Everyone's like, oh, that's cool. You're going to be rich.
You did spend a bit of time in China, didn't you?
Did.
Yeah. All right. Brilliant, mate.
Not much rugby there.
Not a lot of rugby.
Wuhan did have a rugby club, though.
Did you
They're called the Wuhan Baiji. No, they were on the other side of town.
Oh, really?
Which is bloody miles. Like an hour on the subway and then a further trip.
So it was not worth it.
Not to see a bunch of expats run around a brown grass field.
What's a good name for a Chinese rugby team? Let's say this quickly because I really need to pee.
Okay. I don't know. The Dragons.
All right. Not the Wuhan anal leakers.
The white locks.
All right, well, go subscribe to you.
And him. Distracted Sports. He's Tony.
2 Cents Rugby.
I didn't introduce you at the start.
That's Mark. 2 Cents Rugby. I do this terrible thing of, like, I talk to the camera. I feel like I'm talking to the camera, but I'm actually just talking to the...
My dad does that. Anytime I've done videos with him, I have to tell him that's the camera. Because he just wants to look at himself. Because that's a vanity thing.
Me and your dad are pretty handsome fellas, you know. Ask your mum. I mean, not about me, but ask your mum about your father. I'm sure she finds. I'm sure she finds him attractive. Have you never had that conversation with your mother about how attractive she finds your father? You're a result of that attraction, for God's sake.
I've deliberately steered away from that entire period of...
Has she even really tried to dig into it with you?
All I know is they met at a bar. My dad tried to pick up my grandmother, so my mum's mum.
Yes! Yes, Gaza!
But she basically, my grandmother palmed my dad off onto
his daughter.
Her daughter, who was 16 at the time.
How old was your old man at the time?
Ooh, he would have been like 20, in his early 20s.
So he was like going for the older lady.
Yeah, I think she had kids pretty young, so she wasn't like... But I mean, she would have been older than him, for sure.
Yeah, right.
He's going for like a 30-something or a 40-something, and he ends up with a 16-year-old, so...
That's a weird how'd you meet your mother story. I was trying to pick up her mother.
I mean, he said he just asked her to dance, but I mean, why is a guy asking a woman to dance, right? I'm just going with my dad's trying to pick her up.
He's trying to get it in.
Trying to get in there.
So your dad tried to have sex with your grandma?
Well, I don't know if he tried to have sex with her. He tried to dance with her.
He would have had sex with her that night if he could have.
If he could have.
Yeah, absolutely. You could have been your own uncle.
I don't know that's how it would have worked. I'm surprised she wasn't pregnant at the time, because my grandma had like 8 babies.
Right, so you got her in a
She must have been between babies at the time.
small window of non-pregnancy.
Maybe not.
Or maybe that was your dad's thing. There are people who are into the pregnant woman.
This is going down a rabbit hole that, yeah.
Didn't want to be down. All right, well, cheers.
Cheers, Tony.
Well done.
Good to see you.
Lovely to see you too.
Next week, I guess the World Cup is a fortnight away, so we can have a look at how the World Cup is looking.
Yeah.
And there'll be some European games on, and I'm sure there'll be some movers and shakers with
we have to do
Northern
something.
Tour stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, and then it will be. We'll try and get 1 or 2 in between now and the Northern Tour.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be all on for
That's right. Happy days.
Happy days.
Cheers,
Thanks for
folks.
watching.
Take care.
Bye-da.